Hello, hello. Let's see that backdrop up. You may hear my chinchillas. You may hear my babies back there. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I should have that head. Hi, Mr. Dell. How are you? No, I can't hear you. So I'm gonna bring you up and then we can get this thing started, okay? So let me send you a request. I'm gonna send you a request. All right. Now you need to be on a phone or a tablet, because if you're on a laptop or a PC, it's not going to do it. It's not. TikTok is just weird like that. So if you have a phone, it could be an Android or an iPhone or an iPad or a tablet, you can do it. But if you're on a laptop, you won't be able to come up. Okay. So when I send you an invite, just hit join. Okay. I'm going to do this again. So just hit join. And then we can go on from there. All right. I hope everybody's doing great on this Tuesday. Welcome back. Welcome back. Tap the live, share it out. We are talking to Mr. Conoyer. Okay, good. We're talking to Mr. Conoyer from Missouri, from District 65. That's in St. Charles County. Hey, Misty. That's in St. Charles County. For his his thank you. Yes, share it among your peers, Mr. Conoyer. Thank you so much. You can share it separately to your people. You can also add it to your FYP. I'm gonna do that myself. I'm gonna add it to my. Please share the live out. I'm gonna send you an invite again. I can see if that were just hit join. I know. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. All right. Got your hat on.
I do. It's a cornerstone of the campaign.
What does it say?
It says "Let's fix Missouri." It's my campaign slogan.
All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Conoyer, for joining us on Our Vote Counts. Don't mind the mustard behind me. I'm trying
I
to
don't have
look
the best
cute.
setup down here either, but
But if you do want to bring up a background, you can. If not, it's fine. It's fine. I'm so
sure.
happy that you're here. Thank you so much. We just came off our break. The much needed one. We did like over, I want to say 175, I say, if that. So we've been busy and we wanted to take a break. It's a little spring break, and now we're getting back into the meat and potatoes of things. But before we do that, I want to tell you about Our Vote Counts. So, hi everyone, welcome to Our Vote Counts on TikTok live town hall. Our Vote Counts, which is also known as OVC, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Mr. Conoyer here, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building a strong democracy, one informed vote at a time. So join us. Your vote is your power. So let's welcome Mr. Dale Conoyer. Put a clapping emoji in the chat, because I know I can't hear everybody clapping. But thank you so much for joining us. And this is one thing about Dale. So I'm gonna give a little background to my people in the chat. So the Conyers have been, is it Conyers or Conyers?
It's Conoyer, actually.
Conoyer. I am so sorry.
You're good. You're good. Everyone misspeaks it. Hopefully, with the success of this campaign, fewer people are gonna misspeak it. So.
Okay, Conoyer. So I can remember that from cannolis. I love cannolis. So I can say Conoyer. Okay. The Conoyers have been in St. Charles County longer than anyone that he can remember. So his family stayed in northern farmlands of the county through floods, tornadoes, economic crisis. You've been through it all. And your father and your grandfather were Union men as well. He was inspired in the background of getting involved in politics in 2024. In 2024. And one of the first things that you did was knock on doors and advocate for Proposition A, which is the citizen-led ballot initiative to give workers paid sick time and raise Missouri's minimum wage to $15 per hour. So once again, Mr. Dale, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit more about who Mr. Conoyer. Conoyer. Yes. I'm gonna get it. I promise. I'm gonna get it.
You're fine. I got you.
I'm gonna get it. So tell us more about yourself.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's just an incredible honor. It's great. My name is Dale Conoyer. It's Conoyer. You're not the first person to mispronounce it, Miss. You said Sianca?
Look at you!
There we go.
Oh man, I gotta set my game up.
Yeah, I got you. You're good. But you're not the first person, Ms. Sianca, to mispronounce the name, and you're not going to be the last. Some of my earliest memories are I'd win a raffle or something, or I'd have my name read off on a list in elementary school, and they'd John Smith, Ben Thompson, Dale, and I'd always pause there because Dale's not a common name either. They'd be like, Dale, oh Lord, Dale Conoyer. That's what they usually get to, but no, it's great. I've gotten. I went to SLU, which is St. Louis University, which is a very nice university around here. I have a bachelor's degree. I graduated with honors in history. History has always been a huge passion of mine. I got really involved into political activism, into political work, campaigning, making sure, helping candidates of integrity, and helping candidates that will fight for good, people-focused policies get elected in Missouri and even across other parts of the state. Just recently, me and my friends got together and we did some phone banking for other candidates across the country. Even though I'm running, and they're going to be helping me, and they are helping me, but we like to, make sure that a rising tide raises all ships, and we're helping everyone out. Like I mentioned, my grandfather was a union man, a farmer, a veteran. My father, he's a union man, and unions are the reason we were able to keep our house during the recession. They provided me with a lot of opportunities, and they're being tragically neglected here in St. Charles County, alongside a bunch of other things and a bunch of everyday people and everyday Missourians that aren't being represented and aren't being listened to by our politicians, and that's why I'm running. I went up to the Capitol. I know this is more of a national organization, but I'm running for State House, so you get to hear my State House story. But I went up to the Capitol to lobby in defense of Proposition A, because in Missouri, we have the Citizens Ballot Initiative process where citizens can gather signatures and then put things on the ballot and vote on them. And it's how we legalized marijuana a few years back. But we had one on the ballot called Proposition A, which you mentioned, which was a minimum wage increase to $15 an hour, and it mandated paid sick time for workers. Not even a lot. It was a small amount, but it was better than what we had. Right. And it passed in Missouri in 2024 with a 15-point margin, which is an incredible margin. That's the same ballot that delivered Trump this state by 17 points. So that means you have a huge overlap of people who voted for Trump but also voted for Proposition A. And our legislature, they completely killed it. It got to their office and they shot it down, and we were trying to lobby in defense of it, and we did. And we were up there in the Capitol, and a good friend of mine, Don Looney, he was up there in the Capitol probably more than he was at his own house lobbying in defense of it. But I went up there, And I was trying to convince, I was trying to convince these politicians, like, hey, don't shoot this down. This is great for the people of Missouri. It's what we voted on. We want to be able to make our own decisions. And I saw the little TikTok hat there. And I'm a little new to this. You gotta forgive me. I'm a little new to
You're
TikTok
good.
live.
You're good. You're
This is
good.
the
Just the
first
only
TikTok
thing,
live
like
for me.
with the vocabulary, like TikTok, you gotta speak to us like you're speaking to like a fifth grader or a second grader, because you can cuss till the cows come home. You can cuss as much as you want, but as far as like you want to say abort, you gotta say AB. As far as you gotta say pew pewing, you gotta say
Right. I've heard of all that.
yeah. So you gotta say adjectives. You can't actually say the word.
Yes. I don't think I've made that mistake yet. I could be wrong. Apologies if I did.
That's fine. Yes. Go ahead.
Um, but I went up to the Capitol to lobby in defense of this, and we were talking with one of the senators, and I can't remember his name. I wish I could. I don't want to throw someone under the bus that doesn't deserve it.
Hmm.
But I was lobbying. I said, your constituents voted in favor of this by a 17-point margin. I'm a bit of a data guy. I knew the number off the top of my head, and he said, and I quote, "Just because the Missouri people vote for something doesn't mean it's okay." So I asked him, he won his election by a similar margin as Proposition A passed. So I asked him when he's going to resign. He didn't like that. He kicked me out of the office. But that
But
was
can I
kind of
pause you right there?
yes,
What does
please.
that mean?
It means that, frankly, they think we're stupid. Genuinely, I have never seen politicians that have this much contempt and hatred and vitriol for their constituents as some of the politicians I've seen in Jefferson City. Because a lot of them have never had electoral consequences to their actions. They haven't had strong candidates or candidates willing to put in the work in these races that have stood up and said, hey, we don't like you talking about us that way. We don't like you overturning our will. We don't like that we vote for something and then you
Right.
vote against our vote and your vote supersedes all of ours. And that's become a huge part of my campaign. I'm a fervent supporter of the Citizens Ballot Initiative process, and even if a Citizens Ballot initiative gets put on the ballot and it passes, and it's something that I don't agree with, I won't shoot it down because I don't believe that's the
You pew
role
it down.
Sorry, I won't pew it down. I wasn't using it in the
You're
gun
good. We
ballot.
got you. We got you covered. Just put fruits in the chat, people. Just put fruits in the chat. Tap the live. Yeah.
You're good. I won't pew it down. My apologies. I won't pew it down because I don't believe that's the role of state government. I don't believe that my vote should matter more than the votes of my constituents. I'm there if I win, and when I win, I'm there to represent them. I'm not there to say, oh well, I want this thing to pass, even though my constituents don't want it, and it would be bad for them, and it would do nothing but make my donors, which I don't have billionaire donors, but make my billionaire donors richer. I don't think that's right, and I think
Right.
that a lot of people in Missouri are fed up. I think they're looking for change. I think we're seeing that. Just earlier today, I was at a meeting with a friend of the campaign that I was talking some things with, and before that, I went to a diner, which is a great diner, and I went to a diner and I was wearing my hat, and I got called over to another table by these four gentlemen. They were more conservative leaning, and I was talking to them, and I didn't compromise on any of my positions, but I was talking to them. I was talking about my future or my vision for the state, what I'm fighting for, and they loved it. And a few of them wanted to buy the hat, not this one, but buy the hats that I'm planning on selling. So I think we're at a great situation to build a real good movement across Missouri and really show these people that we're tired of politicians that don't represent us in different districts, but they rule over us like they're lords ruling over little fiefdoms spread across the county.
Absolutely. Because with that statement, with what you mean, I think I heard something similar to another senator or a congressman that says, we know what's best for the people. Like, yeah, you voted for this, but we know what's best for you. Like they're like your parents. And I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Really? But before we go any further, and I'm glad you just opened this up. This is like a good icebreaker. You really opened this up. So in a perfect world, what system would you change if this was a perfect world? in this country, in the United States, what system you would change and what would the outcome become?
What do you mean system? Like electoral system? Or
Well,
political system?
let's talk about healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are a lot of systems. I'm sorry. We'll pick out a system that you want. Pick out any system that Mrs. Dale want to do. And in a perfect world, what would the outcome be? What would that system be, and what would the outcome be? Like, what would have been instead of right now?
Sure. I mean, if we're talking about healthcare, I'm a big proponent personally of Medicare for all. I think that's the best way forward for healthcare in the country. I think that it should be the role of government to try to ensure that that program can be well funded, that it won't bankrupt the state. I know that's not the number one big issue people have with Medicare for all is that cost. And believe me, my campaign has been huge on budget and on budgetary issues and on taking us back out of being a deficit. I believe that that is something that we should be looking towards and looking towards shifting to. I had, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, I think was a major step in the right direction. I don't think that there were some issues with that bill
Right.
that I think we're kind of seeing now, especially with the insurance companies able to sort of raise the prices and kind of profit off that at the government's dime. I think that's really hurting people on the sort of consumer costs side of it. But no, I would love to see further investment into more affordable and better public health care. I don't believe that the current for-profit model is working. I think it works great if you have a lot of money to spend, but not everyone has
Right.
a lot of money to spend, especially in this economy with the job market being what it is and the housing market being what it is, and especially gas prices. I mean, we have some of the lowest gas prices in the country in Missouri, and that's kind of just from geography. We're next to a bunch of oil wells, and we're in the middle of the state. But even here, people are getting crushed by them. I mean, I think at the nearest gas station to me in St. Charles County, I was driving around and it finally broke $4 today. It was $4.19, which I never thought I would see. Even the
Wow.
worst gas price increase in 2022, it was $3.79, and I know that because I took a picture of it. Because I was like, I was driving by and I'm like, I've never seen gas that high. Took a picture of
Right.
it, and now 4 years later, I wish it was down to 3.79 again. Like it was ridiculous. Um,
379. I wish it was back down to 150. I'm originally
yeah,
from
people complain a lot about 2020 and about COVID, but gas prices were cheap as dirt back then, and I love to
yeah.
drive. So then that was a little silver lining in
Yeah.
that hectic year was a terrible year. Um, but that's a big thing for me. I would like to see that's not something that I'm necessarily promising on this campaign because I am a state rep I'm one vote in a general assembly, but that is definitely something that I'll be looking towards and looking forward to. And if the opportunity presents itself, and if we dig ourselves out of this deficit hole and we have money to spend, maybe we could start investing in that and moving towards a sort of public option, Medicare for all, sort of that type of system that could bring more healthcare to people and make sure that nobody gets bankrupted from medical debt or medical bills. So that would be
Absolutely.
my ideal.
Awesome. So just by your county, so your county is St. Charles County,
Yes.
and the population is 37,030. That's kind of small. I'm originally from New York, so I'm used to the grand population.
I think I think you might be looking at the wrong data. I think you might be looking at maybe part of St. Charles City because St. Charles County has around 1 million people. Last I checked.
Okay. Okay.
If not 1 million people, then it's pretty close and it's growing really fast. I mean, uh, O'Fallon, which is one of the bigger, I think it is the biggest town in St. Charles County. Don't quote me on that, but that's around
Okay.
100,000. So I think it's more like 500,000 to 1 million people is what we're looking at here in St. Charles County. My
Okay, I can
district,
change that.
oh,
I
you're
can
good.
change that.
My
Um,
my my district, I think, has I believe around between 50 to 100,000. I could be wrong, but I think it's around.
okay. Oh, okay, cool. I can change that. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Of course, of course. No, you're
The
good. You're good.
no, we need it, but see, this is the thing. Like what you see in the media right now, you gotta trust the source. You gotta get the truth out there. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind being corrected. Like if I'm saying something wrong, like Sianca, yeah, like what you just did, that's fine. I love that because I want the truth to convey out of here to the people who's going to be voting for you. I like that because you see what's going on right now in the news. You got to depend on Lego movies
Mhm.
and other places that's not even part of the United States for news, for the truth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it's really insane. So the minimum wage, is it $15 an hour, or is it in a process?
So it's officially in a process, although they keep messing with the process.
Mhm.
I believe the current minimum wage, the last I checked, which I should know this, so my apologies, but I believe the current minimum wage is around $13. We voted on to raise it to $15 initially back in, I believe, 2018. I could be wrong about that, but
Mhm.
2018 we voted to raise it over the course of a few years to eventually 15. But they, like with everything what we vote for, they shot it down. And then with Proposition A, we were voting to raise it to $15 this year, but they shot that down too. So right now I believe it's around 12 or 13. And if someone wants to correct me in the comments, please do, because I want you to hold me accountable both as a candidate and as a rep. So please make the habit of doing that now. But I believe it's between 12 and 13 last I checked. So.
Okay. And so is it fair to say the median household income is around like 91,000?
That sounds about. I think it's a little lower actually, but that sounds about right. It's
91,210. Okay.
yeah,
And
and I believe so because again, my district is also a lot of farm. Um,
okay, okay.
so
And then like the per capita income is like 47,000 per capita.
that sounds about right. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I never known Missouri being since I'm getting more involved in politics and reading about different state policies and how different states are ran. I'm really shocked about how Missouri is very, to me, I call it country because I live here in North Carolina, so we call it something like the country. And I'm really shocked at the land in the Midwest, you know, with the agriculture. And since we can go into agriculture, um, the data in farmland and American farmland trust shows that U.S. is losing over 2,000 acres of farmland per day to development, because even in my area in North Carolina, the places that used to be fields for agriculture, now you see a bunch of houses and a bunch of other development being done. So it's like, where are we going to put, our farms? Like, how are you going to stop or improve a process or improve a policy that will not stop the development, but have room for where we can grow our food? Because if we have a whole bunch of farmland, I mean, if we have a whole bunch of development, are we going to eat concrete? Are we going to eat, bricks? Are we going to eat wood? Like, where are we going to put the farmland?
And I mean, Missouri is a lot of farmland. I don't think it's not all farmland, but
Right.
it's a lot of farmland. The most farmland I ever saw was driving through Iowa because I had to drive through Iowa to get to Omaha
Oh,
when I drove there with my girlfriend. And that that is, if you like farms, you'll love Iowa.
yeah.
But there are a lot of farms here in Missouri, especially in my district. I mean, I live on a farm, and my family's been, we have farms, and my grandfather was a farmer. Um,
Mhm.
but a lot of I like to think that I'm more in tune with farming issues than a lot of other candidates, even Republican candidates. And the main issue is just farming it's a difficult job. Obviously, I mean, no one has ever said farming is an easy job, but it's a difficult job that a lot of farmers benefit from subsidies. They benefit from free trade agreements, and I mean, you're just seeing that get completely trampled on. I mean, the price of fertilizer, because of the price of oil, has gone so high because of the Iran war, and our state government's doing nothing to help them with that. Not trying to help provide fertilizer, not trying to help maybe lower the cost. give some sort of way to help those farmers make fertilizer. And if they don't get the fertilizer, their crops aren't going to grow as much, and they're not going to make as much money. And a few of them, I don't have the numbers on me, but I'm willing to bet a decent chunk of them are going to go bankrupt and not be able to, and they're going to have to either sell the farm or they're going to have to take on a bunch of debt. And that's not even counting all the the predatory, like, massive farming companies that come in and they buy up all these farms, and they subcontract farmers to grow a certain type of seed, and they can't even replant the seed because the seed is patented as company property. Monsanto is a huge thing about this. I mean, they're treating these people like serfs. It's ridiculous, and I think that in large part drove the massive swing we saw of farmers to Donald Trump in 2016, especially, but also 2024, because they had the boot on their neck, and they felt that Trump would change it, and they felt that he would fix the economy, and we've seen that he hasn't. We've seen that our state governments are. I mean, just recently, I made a video about this recently on TikTok, but our state government, rather than address these issues, address the farming issue, address the gas prices issue, address the sales tax issue, address all these different economic issues that are crushing Missourians by their wallets, they passed a law that legally defined what a woman was. And it's like, you kidding me? That's what we're talking about. That's what they have a supermajority. They could do anything, right? If their policies could have fixed this state and could have made things better for the average Missourian, why haven't they already? It's a supermajority. The Democrats haven't had power in Missouri for years. The last time we had any semblance of power was Nicole Galloway being state auditor, and she left in, I believe, 2020 or 2022.
Oh, wow.
So they've been running rampant, and it's not been helping people. It's been helping big business, and it's been helping, the people who have 7, 8, 9-figure incomes, but for the average Missourian, especially for people in my district, because there's not too many, billionaire people with 5 houses in Branson and 2 yachts in Boca Raton in my district. And the majority of people, they just want to be able to live their lives. They want to be able to continue their trade. They want to be able to feel like there's a future that they can. That one caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's the gift. So excuse the loudness.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I thought it was my phone for a second, and I thought I could run up and get something, but no. I mean, it's just ridiculous how they refuse to do anything that could help the Missouri people. And when the Missouri people vote on something and they say, this would help us, Proposition A, that would help us. Amendment 3, that would help us. The right to work, that wouldn't help us. They ignore it. Almost to a man, they vote against us, and they vote for what they think will help the state, and it's not been helping the state. I mean, we had an $8 billion surplus. Missouri had a budget surplus in 2023. And because of tax breaks to billionaires and because of reckless spending and fiscal irresponsibility, we are now entering 2027 in a projected $2 billion deficit. So we are not getting enough money to pay for the state's maintenance now. And it's ridiculous. How do you blow an $8 billion surplus? And my opponent is the chair of the Government Efficiency Committee. So I don't know what type of efficiency she's overlooking if we're $10 billion less rich than we were 3 years ago. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Wow. Blowing that much?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I didn't believe it either, but
that's crazy.
If we were to just revert our tax policies to just 3 years ago, we would have enough money to invest into local businesses, to start funding public works that could benefit the lives of the people of Missouri, to even give people a small tax break while still having enough revenue to cover state expenses. It's infuriating, and that's what drove me to run. Really, is having to deal with and having to see that mismanagement and see nobody kind of stand up to have these people answer for how they're mismanaging the state.
Wow, that's crazy. And I'm glad you brought up about um, with the system, because I want to jump over to healthcare.
Yes.
Because I know that's your thing. That's my favorite thing as well, my favorite subject as well. So, like with the Becker's Hospital Review and KSDK 5 on your side, they both mention about reports on hospital staffing shortages and hospital strain in your state. So, why are the people relying on an overworked and a broken system? Like, for instance, like they know this was happening. Why nobody is fixing it? Why are people making it like it don't exist? Like with the Medicare from this BBL, I call the big beautiful lie. The big, I call it the BBL. They want people who are on Medicaid to work. So you want a 65 and like you want these people to go out there and work? How is that fixing the system? Like what are they doing?
I mean, the crux of the argument is the system works great if you're one of the Republicans' billionaire donors, or
Right.
you're a big business. I mean, you don't hear Amazon CEOs or executives talking about how bad the economy is, because they don't have to deal with it.
Right.
People are relying on this system because they don't have a choice. I mean, they're not gonna bite the hand that feeds if it's the only hand they're getting. They and that's why we need to give more benefit to these people. It's sad. And like you said with Medicare, they want people on Medicare to work for their Medicare. I frankly, I don't know any old person, post retirement person around here that isn't working, either for because they just can't stay at home. Like my mother's a big example of that. She couldn't stay home if you asked her to. But I mean, there are some people that just they're screwed and they need money, and the only way they can get it is by going to after their retirement they go to work at Walmart, or they go to work at Target or some other big box store or department store in retail. I mean, I work retail too, and nothing wrong with working retail, of course, it's a job, but it's
Right.
certainly what I want to do in my golden years.
Right.
Um, and that's not something that people should be required to do. I think if you've worked in the system, and this goes for the baby boomer generation, the Gen X generation, and my generation too. If you've worked in the system and you've done everything right, and you stay with the job, and you paid into it, you should be getting the benefits that you were promised whenever you entered the workforce. And for the older
Absolutely.
generation, and for my generation too, that's Social Security. And it's these programs and these benefits that ensure that people aren't left out to rot. But I mean, the reason that they want old people to work for their Medicare is because then they have a larger labor pool that they can exploit, and that they can, have work in with increasingly low pay, because there's no other options, because the economy is in the toilet, and only real big areas are able to hire anymore. I mean, there's a bunch of mom and pop businesses around here. I myself, I own a small business, and it's rough. It
Yeah.
is rough out here. And the Republicans in Jeff City, and my opponent especially, they're doing nothing about it because they don't want to. The system works for them. It doesn't work for us, but it works for them, and they are banking on the idea that they're never going to have to answer to the people for that, and they're never going to have to face a candidate that says things can be improved and we can do better, and this is not what we have to just sit down and accept, and we can fix Missouri, which is what I'm hoping on running for, and what I'm aiming to tell to the people.
And by you breaking it down like that, I mean, even though I should know this, and but just hearing you say that, yes, it does make sense where it works for them, and that's why they don't want to change it. But I get so confused when they say the American people wants this, the American people wants that. Which American people you talking about here?
Hmm.
Like I get so confused in that subject. And I also want to talk about our babies, our kids. And the reason why I say our kids, even though 300 some odd or maybe more billion of kids in this country are not mine, but I do consider them mine because I have 3 kids. I have them. And it hurts my heart to hear about the unaliving rate after the vid, after it's surging up high where these kids are unaliving themselves. These kids are getting bullied. These kids had issues that I know I didn't have when I grew up. Somebody's in the queue. Okay, thank you. Blessings. What what do you think led up to this, where our kids are taking on so much to the point of unaliving and doing like obscene things that they don't need to be doing, that they don't need to put themselves through?
I think part of the big reason of that, and I'm no child psychologist, there are people far more qualified than myself to speak on this issue, but I think honestly the big issue and the big reason that a lot of people, especially people in my age and a little younger than me, are struggling with unaliving or with unaliving thoughts, is because they feel stuck and they feel like there's no way out of their circumstance, and they feel that the system, and the system's not always politics. The system could be their social system. The system could be their their job, their economic system, the lack of support. They just feel like they have no way out of that. I think it's a tragedy. I think that more should be done to handle that, and I believe that obviously mental health advocacy is a huge issue I would advocate for. And there's a great candidate. I'm gonna give him a small shout out here. A great candidate in House District 106, Jewel Kelly. He's a huge mental health advocate. He's made it a core part of his campaign, and we need to be talking about this. People. There is this unbreakable, it seems, feeling of despair that a lot of young people have in regards to the system. And it's for a variety of reasons. And a lot of it is because of the growing wealth inequality, because of the horrendous student loans that a lot of these people have to do. I'm very fortunate that I don't have too many student loans compared to many of my peers. I only have $60,000 in student loans, only $60,000. But I have friends of mine, especially people who went into fields that weren't history and you actually had to pay money for, that have 100,000, 150,000 student loans. They have enough money to buy an anti-house by the time they graduate from college, and the job market's so bad they can't even get a job, especially one in their field. The system is broken for everyday people, and you don't hear about it from the high up people and the wealthy executives and the people like that, because the system's not broken for them, and they don't realize that. There's that they do this every so often, but occasionally you get some of these like billionaires on like a live stream or on like an interview, and they ask them the price of like everyday foods or items, and they can't give you one, right? There was a famous one, this was like a decade ago, when Bill Gates was asked, how much does a banana cost? He said like $15. But it's just sad. And the system, a lot of these people, and especially in politics, because a lot of young people, especially people in my generation, are not very politically active, which is a travesty. And thankfully, in my district and in my area, I've gotten people more politically active than they normally would have been, and I'm a huge proponent of changing the system. And if you want to see a change in a district or in an area, then you should be that change, or at least help someone who you think could be that change. But for a lot of people who don't have someone like me who knows where to point them and say, hey, if you want to help, here's where you can start. Here's a campaign that I think you'd love. Here's someone that I think will fight for you. They just feel crushed. They just feel absolutely crushed by the weight of the housing market, of the economy market, of just the increasing issues with like social issues with all the things you see on the news, especially. It's just very sad. And we fundamentally need to give these people a future that works for them, a future that can guarantee them the American dream, the same future that our fathers, our forefathers had before us. It's achievable. A lot of people say that that's a bygone era, but I don't believe so. I still believe in the American dream, and I still believe that we can make this system work for the common man. I mean, I think that the reason that it's not working right now is solely because the people in charge, especially in my state, which is a very, very red state, it's working for them. They see nothing wrong with it. They're deliberately saying, "Oh, well, it's fine for me because I don't have trouble paying my medical bills. I don't have trouble paying my student loans. I don't have trouble buying a house." Or they know the issue, but if you campaign on things that I'm campaigning on, then the billionaire donors won't donate to you, and they need that money in order to run a campaign.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for answering that question. We have Mr. Nookie up here. How are you, Nookie? How you doing?
Hello, sorry, I was in the middle of something.
How are you?
I am good.
Good. You have a question for Mr. Dale here.
Yes, so Missouri residents overwhelmingly voted to offer paid leave for part-time employees, and our House representatives overrode the right of the people. What is your stance on it? And if and when you're elected, sorry, there's a little bit of echo on my end. 1 second. If and when you are elected, what would you do to secure that for the people of Missouri? As we know that many people have taken on part-time work to make ends meet.
Sure. So, I mean, the Citizens Ballot Initiative process is I would say, number one or number two issue for my campaign, right? I was up there defending Proposition A, which is what Nookie is talking about, in 2025 whenever they were talking about shutting it down. I was lobbying at the Capitol. I gave that story to Sianca. And so I am a huge supporter of the Citizens Ballot Initiative process, and I oppose any and all attempts to get rid of it. I think that is undemocratic. I think that is a betrayal to the people of Missouri, and I think that is it is a dangerous precedent for the state, and it is the Republicans' attempts to kind of continue to push our will and our voice away from the halls of power. If elected, I will, and I'll make this this statement very publicly, and I've done it before. If there is any Citizens Ballot Initiative that passes, that is genuinely written, gathered signatures, voted on, and passes, even if I don't agree with it, I will not shoot it down, because I don't believe that is the goal of the legislature. If the people vote for it, the people's voice, in my opinion, and I wish politicians would think this way, the people's voice overrides my own. As for what I would do to secure that process, I would be pursuing I'd like a constitutional amendment that says that if a ballot or if a citizen's ballot is passed, then it must be either at the very least put into a committee hearing, but even that they would still vote no on. I'd like to see that have the representatives in the government have some sort of accountability by the judicial system, by the courts, to be required under state law to impose these things into law. Like Prop A, like Amendment 3, things like that. I mean, the puppy mill one and right to work too, which were the opposite, where they were shot down, but they were added anyways. Those are huge issues for me, and it's what inspired me to run. So I'm a huge supporter of the Citizens Ballot Initiative process, and I believe we need strong safeguards in the Missouri Constitution and in Missouri law to hold these representatives accountable and have them put the people's will into law as the Missouri state government and Constitution, whenever it was founded, intended to do.
Thank you. I have another question, but I'll wait for that section of the conversation.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, Nookie. Thank you so much. So we're gonna take just a little. I forgot to tell you how we do this here. We do this a little different because we're kind of like a fun group here. So I would like to do a rapid fire with
Sure.
you, a political one, if that's fine.
Of course.
Um, about your state.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
All right. Okay. Okay. Just one. I'm gonna ask that question too because I would like to know that as well. Um, do you drink? No, that's the fun one. I need to get the political one. Why this is coming up? I'm gonna ask this question anyway. So why this is coming up? How is Missouri with data centers?
So Missouri is a very, at least in the districts I am, I couldn't tell you about Kansas City, for example, but in eastern Missouri, they are very, very against data centers. I mean, just recently there was a city council, and I believe Festus, again, quote me on that, don't quote me on that, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Festus that voted against the people's will to allow a data center into Missouri. And then the next election, every single one of them was voted out. So that is a huge issue for people in Missouri because I mean, you know, there's fears of rising electricity and water costs, obviously, and you know, with how the economy is going right now, a lot of people aren't willing to stomach that, and I don't blame them. So that's become a huge thing in my campaign. Is I'm not supportive of any data centers, especially ones that are imposed on the Missouri people. I think if a precinct wants to vote in a data center and they think it's right for their business, for their area, for their businesses, then you know, more power to them. But I would not impose any data centers anywhere on the state without at least a vote from the Missouri people. That's something that I'm hugely against.
Okay, because in North Carolina we just found out that one of the counties can now seize water from another county without the government's consent, without the leader's consent from their water treatment. Because if they run out of water, they want to be taken care of first before anybody else get taken care of. And I think that's obscene. That's just I never heard that before. I'm like, oh, we'll be back in 1862 where we could just see stuff. We could just this is in a country that we live in. You know, it's supposed to be for the people. It's crazy to me. But before we get back into that, so we're gonna put a pin in that. I found some rapid fire questions. So we already talked about should Missouri raise minimum wage? You say yes.
Yes.
Is Missouri doing enough to lower healthcare costs? Yes or no?
No. And the current administration, no.
Should prescription medication prices be capped at the state level? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you support legal recreation expansion policies? Yes or no?
For marijuana?
Yeah, we say the tree or whatever just for TikTok purposes.
My bad. I do support that. That's one of the few things that the Missouri people voted on that was actually allowed and passed in, and now it's been great for revenue. It's been great for, you know, people to have a good time on their own with their own dollar and on their own time. But I'm fully supportive of recreational marijuana or recreational tree. Sorry.
Thank you. And like Joni says, MJ, yeah. So Mary Jane.
Yes, I'm supportive. I don't partake in it myself, but I support someone's right to partake in legal MJ, and I support the recreational use of that.
All righty. Should rural hospitals receive emergency funding? Yes or no?
Yes.
Telehealth permanent expansion? Yes or no?
So you said telehealth permanent expansion?
Yes.
Could you give me a rundown on what that is?
Oh, telehealth permanent, like telehealth, where doctors can see patients through access of computers, through cameras. Yeah, telehealth.
Yes, I would support expanding that.
Alrighty. Should Medicaid pay doctors more? Yes or no?
Yes. Broadly, yes.
Lower taxes or increase wages? What matters more?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I like to try to aim for both personally, but I'm not going to do the politician cop out answer.
Okay.
I think if I had to focus on those, if I had to choose one, I would like to see I'm thinking increased wages. I think that's a more sustainable way for the state to have growth, personally.
Okay. Should Missouri tie wages to inflation? Yes or no?
I would like to see us work towards that. I'd have to see if we need to make sure that how that would affect the budget and how that would affect the economy. But that is something I would like to work towards. Yes.
Gotcha. Are groceries too expensive because of policy or corporation?
Both. Here in Missouri, they're both. And they're going to get more expensive because they want to add a massive double-digit sales tax to pay for a massive, huge income tax break for billionaires in Missouri. And it's something that even people that are supportive of my opponent are hugely against, but she's not listening to them, and she never listens to anybody besides herself. So
That's freaking crazy. Are small farms being pushed out? Yes or no?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And should Missouri regulate large agribusinesses more? Yes or no?
I believe so, yes.
Is Missouri doing enough to protect water quality? Yes or no?
No. And I actually, so this isn't in my district, but I had the privilege of going up to Silex, Missouri, which is up in the north, to shoot a little video there for the Missouri Young Democrats. And whenever we were there, we had people asking if we were there to buy the house, like to buy houses. We had multiple people ask that. And we were kind of asking what that was about. And we learned that the water in Silex is contaminated with radium. Yeah, exactly. And the people weren't allowed to drink their water in Silex because you could get radium poisoning with it. And the Silex town government says the water is safe. Nobody we talked to there said that they trusted enough to take a drink, and that it still doesn't. Yes, radium. It was ridiculous. And I mean, I was walking around and I'm like, why is this not being dealt with? I couldn't believe it myself. Multiple people said, because the first person that said that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that person's exaggerating a little bit, but no,
right.
And you can look it up, and on the internet, it said recently, it was 2023. It said that that the water had levels of radium in it. It's ridiculous. And no, I mean, so no, we're not doing enough to protect water quality. I don't think radium should be in any drinking water in Missouri, and you can quote me on that.
No.
That's something that I would be very forwardly gunning for. I don't think that anybody should be drinking radium. There was another guy, this gentleman who I forget his name, but he has a farm in St. Louis County, which also isn't in my district, but where there's radioactive waste and sewage that just leaks into his farm. He shows up to every event in St. Louis County and has pictures of it and tries to get anybody who will listen to support him. And I've had the pleasure of talking with him, and I don't think he's watching this TikTok live, but he is still on my mind, and he's one of the people that I want to fight for in the Missouri government, because it's ridiculous. So no, we're not doing enough to protect water rights in Missouri. And sorry if that went a little long for a quick.
I'm glad you meant, because I'm finding myself to be a water advocate after I heard about what's happening in our state. I'm a water advocate, and people don't realize how important water is. They really don't realize it. So should developers pay for water infrastructure? Yes or no?
Yes, the developers, and I'd like to see the Missouri government as well. I think that it should be like a dual payment. I'd like to see. It's one of those water rights are one of those things where like the cost is worth it with very little exceptions. I mean, nowhere in Missouri should you be drinking radium water.
At all.
I can't believe that's something I'd have to say as a politician, but no, you shouldn't be drinking radium water as a Missouri citizen.
At all. Regulate farm runoff more strictly? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes, I mentioned that a little bit ago with the other gentleman. I mean, I haven't heard too many issues in at least my district and my area about issues with farm runoff. I'm not saying that don't exist. I could just be ignorant to them, and if I am, please let me know. But I would like to make sure that our water is not being contaminated by farm runoff, especially from these big farms.
Absolutely. Pay teachers more? Yes or no?
Absolutely. 100%.
School,
100%.
school choice or public school funding? Choose one.
I can only choose one. Public school
One.
funding. Public school funding.
All right.
In Missouri, we have we use our taxpayer money to fund charter schools, which makes no sense to me because they're for-profit enterprises. So we're defunding our public schools so that we can give taxpayer money to charter schools, and charter schools don't accept just any kid and any family. So that's ridiculous, and I would like to see that ended. I'd like to see Missouri taxpayer public funds go to Missouri public schools. I don't think charter schools need Missouri taxpayer funds to operate, especially if they're for-profit enterprises.
Wow. Should mental health services be in every school? Yes or no?
Yes.
Is college overrated? Yes or no?
That I'm gonna make a lot of enemies back at SLU for this. I don't think it's overrated per se. I mean, I'm thankful I went to college. I value my degree. I value my education. I value the experiences and the people I met. I don't think it should be especially seen as kind of the only way to make a life for yourself. I do support the trade schools. I do think that, just as we need people with history degrees, we need people who can, fix a pipe. So I wouldn't say it's overrated. I think that right now, especially with my generation, it's kind of seen as the only option. And for a lot of people, that is true. I mean, I definitely would take better to being a historian than I would to be a pipe fitter. But I guess I wouldn't call it overrated, but I would say that it's not the only option. And there are other ways to build a career and a life and to, move upwards and move forward in society. But
absolutely, and that's
a little bit of a cop-out answer, but
no, because I told my son, who is 22, and he wanted to be a mechanic. He's like, I don't want to go to. I'm like, okay, well, find a trade school. So don't let nobody ever talk you out of what trade school can do for you.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And so he graduated from NASCAR in Charlotte, and then now he's working with Honda. So he's doing a dang on thing. So I'm so proud of him.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm a veteran. I'm a disabled veteran. So these are for the people. I know you have veterans in your family too, that you have mentioned. Should Missouri do more for veteran housing? Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Just recently, I don't have the thing in front of me. I think it was HJR 173 or 4. Mm-hmm. Just recently, the Republicans were stalling a bill that would provide disability benefits to disabled vets, including assistance with housing. And it's a travesty. And I made a video about it because I was reached out to by a concerned citizen who said that and said, hey, like, this is a huge issue. It affects the veterans community. Could you make a video about it? And I said, absolutely. So I made that video the next day. And I mean, it's ridiculous. We have a lot of veterans in Missouri, way more than you probably think. It's a huge proportion of our population. I think last I saw, I heard it was like 1 in 6. Like it's a lot of people from Missouri. And I have family members that are previous veterans. Both my grandfathers are veterans, and I have current family members that are, in active service and veterans. And thankfully, they were never physically injured in the line of service, thank God. Not all of them are so lucky. And I mean, it's a travesty that we send these boys overseas, and we have them fight and do some really difficult jobs, some of the hardest jobs that you can possibly do, at risk of grievous physical and psychological and emotional injury, especially the psychological and emotional ones that isn't really talked about a lot. Yeah. And then we bring them back here and we drop them and say, you're on your own. And a lot of these people, since they're overseas for years at a time, they don't have the opportunity to build up that sort of life that people like me, who I've never served, were able to do. And it's a shame. It's shameful. It's shameful. It's a shame. Sorry. So I would like to see us do more for disabled veterans. Yes.
Thank you. So that actually answers the next question: is the VA system failing veterans? Yes or no?
I wouldn't say failing, but it could be greatly improved. I think it absolutely needs more funding in Missouri. I think they're doing the best with what they have, because a lot of people in the VA are genuine people who do want to help and do feel passionate about it. But I think I wouldn't put the blame on the VA as much as I put the blame on the Missouri government in this particular stage.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna give you an A+ for that.
Okay.
You survived the Sianca's rapid fire. You survived the darts flying at you. You did good.
Thank
You did
you.
really good.
I was just being honest. Thank
You
you
did
so
really
much.
good. We did have questions in the chat about MJ. Can cities in Missouri ban Mary Jane dispensaries from their town?
If the people of Missouri, if the people of that city specifically vote on it, I suppose I don't see any issue with that. I'd obviously be an advocate for it. I believe that it brings good jobs. I believe that it brings business, brings tax revenue. But if the people, like, let's say for example, like Wentzville, if the people of Wentzville voted against it, then I suppose I would be all right with that. I wouldn't have any issue with it.
Okay, and did the recreational trees passing come with exoneration?
I would have to look at the bill, because it's a very long bill and it was also a long time ago. I don't believe it did, though.
Okay. I really never heard of that. That's very interesting. So we finished with the rapid fire. If you have any questions about what we discussed about agriculture for a bit. We discussed about water. Make sure you do not have radium in your freaking water. Just, you know what? We come so, I want to say, complacent and so stagnant and so ignorant to the point of we don't realize how precious water is. We just get up, turn the water on, brush our teeth, cook food, take a shower, we don't realize how important water is. So for me, and of course, I guess from Dale too, look at your water.
Please.
Question these people on how your water is being treated, because it's important. It's very important. We want to go on to, but if you have any questions, come up, feel free. See, I'm still here. Dale, he's doing his thing. He's cool. He's cool. So come up, and if you are too shy, you can always ask a question in the chat. But while you chilling in the chat, make sure you tap the live. Make sure you share it out with your people, because we're discussing some important views here. The midterms is coming up. When is your primary, Dale? If you don't mind giving us that information.
Sure. My primary is in August. It's the first Tuesday of August. I believe it's August 4th.
Okay.
I'm running unopposed in the primary, but we're still gonna do everything we can to have a huge get out the vote effort and to go out there. I mean, recently we had municipal elections in Missouri, and I became the first and only candidate to visit every single polling place in my district. And I have a very large district, and we had the most polling places, and I found that out the night before, and I was like, oh, of course we do. But I went out and I met people at every single polling place, and I met some great people. I handed out a lot of literature, and people were very supportive. And I'm planning on doing something similar for the primary. I'll keep that a little secret because we're still in talks about that. But I mean, that's the big thing is I want to be a visible candidate. So I'm going to be out there on primary day, and a lot of people are going to have the fortune or unfortune, depending on what their opinion of me is, to hear a lot and see a lot about me on that day and all the days leading up to them.
That's what's up. And Wendy Houseman is the incumbent, right? Wendy Houseman.
Yes.
And before I get into that question, so St. Lou or Ron P wants to know, when is the next event in St. Charles?
My next event?
Yes.
We don't have one. We don't have an exact date planned. We are going to be doing our inaugural canvassing event on this Saturday. I'll have information about that on my Facebook, my TikTok, Instagram, things like that. So make sure to follow those, and you'll hear more about that. But that's the next event. And then I want to do rallies, right? I want to actually host rallies for supporters, for people who are curious about the campaign, and I'm aiming for an end of May time for that. I don't know the exact time yet, but that's kind of what we're aiming for that. But if you'd like to come along, please do. Please follow my Facebook. That's the best way you can hear about it, and friend me on Facebook and on TikTok and Instagram. That's the best way you can follow the campaign. So
That's awesome. Can you tell me more about Wendy? Like, what is her report card and what makes you so different from her point of view and her policies? Can you give us a little background about that?
sure. So like I mentioned earlier, she's very well-known Republican in the Republican circles in this county. She is very MAGA, as you could probably imagine. Her big claims to fame were being the chair of the Government Efficiency Committee, and I've mentioned earlier why I don't think she's done a very good job at that. But now her big proposal that she's gutting for is the elimination of the income tax, which is a hugely controversial and unpopular thing in Missouri. They're wanting to eliminate the income tax and replace it with a double-digit sales tax and a bunch of other things. I've heard a tax on services. I've heard a transfer tax for home ownership. I've heard all sorts of ridiculous. I heard someone mention an exit tax, where if you wanted to leave the state, you have to pay a tax in order to move out of the state.
Wait a minute. Pause. Wait a minute. Are you serious? An exit tax?
Now, granted, that was just from someone at a diner table, so I can't tell you if that's exactly.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh my God, like what?
But that is being discussed in some circles, and it's just ridiculous because they want to get rid of 2/3 of the Missouri budget, and they have to figure out a way to fix that. And the one thing and this always makes you laugh. The one state they always compare us to, right? And they say, oh well, this state doesn't have an income tax either. They're doing great. Is Florida, and I want to tell these people. Do you think maybe there's a difference in revenue stream between Florida and Missouri? Could you think of any industry that maybe Florida has a little bit more of a hold on than Missouri? Maybe the tourism industry. Missouri is a beautiful state, but I don't think we have Florida beaches or Disney World around here. If we do, I'd love to see them. But I mean, it's I think the Mississippi River is beautiful, but I wouldn't want to spend a week vacation there on a beach. But it's just ridiculous. And she has been unopposed in the past 2 races. She has done very little in terms of making herself visible and coming out and sort of meeting with her constituents. And that's what sets us apart, because I'm excited. I want to do this. I want to show people not only what a Democrat in this area looks like, but I want to show people what a good candidate looks like. I want someone who's interested in this and wants to make sure that their voices are represented in Jefferson City looks like. And she has a lot more fundraising than I do, because she hasn't had to spend money in the past 6 years for her races, but we have a lot more heart and a lot more integrity. And what she has in experience, she could never make up for in integrity. And what I don't have in experience, I could make up for in integrity. So it's great. And I've met so many supportive people, even Republicans, who are just tired of just getting put through the ringer, who say let's give this scrappy young man a try. Let's put our money on the underdog, and let's try to make some change, and let's fix Missouri. And it's every single one of them has just been phenomenal. And all the people on my TikToks and my social media, in all the events I go to, all the speeches I give, all the events I host, it's a lot of work, and I owe a lot of it to an incredibly supportive network of friends, fellow candidates, supporters, donators, and my family, and of course my wonderful girlfriend Swipes, who everyone around here knows now because she goes with me to every event. But I mean, we have this genuine sort of grassroots movement that we're building that a lot of people never thought possible in a district like ours or a state like ours. And I look forward to showing everyone that the Missouri Democratic Party isn't gone, that we're still here, we can still make change. And I want to show them that with my election, but also with the results that I plan to deliver after my election. And so I'm very excited, and that's something that no matter the amount of money Wendy Hausman raises or spends, I don't think she can ever truly match.
That's awesome to know. We have Nookie again. Hey, Nookie.
Oh, I'm back. I bet you thought you were gonna get rid of me. Not that easy.
Oh gosh, I never want to get rid of you.
So, as many school districts in the eastern part of Missouri are now reporting future deficits and funding because of senior property tax freeze, what is your stance on the senior property tax freeze, and how can we shore up those shortfalls?
So the big issue with the Missouri public school funding is that the Republicans want it this way. They want to defund public schools so they have worse performances so they can justify giving more money to charter schools. This has been their playbook, not just in Missouri, but in a lot of other states for like 2 decades at this point, I believe it was. I believe that if we were to revert our tax policies back to 2023, just 3 years ago, we would be able to have a budget surplus which we could use to then reinvest into the state. I don't support defunding public schools. I think that they should have more funding. I think that the health of a society isn't that the rich can send their kids to very nice charter schools. I think that our public schools are so good that the rich see no need to send them to charter schools. And I think that is achievable over the course of many years and consistent investment and work. But I would not support any sort of tax freeze that would defund institutions. One of the things I'm campaigning on is a temporary suspension of the Missouri state gas tax to help lower gas prices. And the reason I'm supportive of that, but not the property tax freeze, for example, is because I looked it up, and the gas tax doesn't provide too much revenue to the state, so it's something that could be easily made up and easily sort of reinvested into and covered over the course of that. And it's also a temporary freeze. We don't know how long the property tax freeze is going to last with the senior property tax, and even now they're talking about increasing property taxes to get rid of the income tax in Missouri. So they don't know what they're doing over there. They have no plan, which sucks because they have a supermajority. You'd think they would have a plan, but they don't have a plan. So no, I would support funding public schools more. I think that that's something we should be doing as a state.
Absolutely, because while Nookie is teacupping, I also have read about. Is it true that you guys are that the public schools are adding trailers and like redrawing boundaries because of the growth of students? Like,
I haven't heard about that.
Okay, because with the St. Charles County is like one of the fastest growing areas.
Yes.
In Missouri. So they have like these things called portable classrooms. Like, because I know I have that here in North Carolina too, like these trailers and portable classrooms, and some of them don't have air conditioning, some of them don't have heat. And I'm like, you see this is happening in your district. Why are you not funding the public school to expand, to get a new school, or, to do something to fix this? Like, I really don't understand and say, well, the public school is not good. Yes, it is good. You just need to put money in them.
Mm-hmm. It is. And even with the amount of defunding that we're seeing from public schools, they're still performing the best they can.
Right.
They're making do with what they have. And you have these people, and not everyone's like this, of course, but you have, very few people become a teacher for the money. Teachers aren't a very well-paid profession.
Right. They're not very well paid.
Yeah, I know many teachers, and they're in it because they genuinely love the work they do, and they want to help these kids, to learn and to educate them and to give them a future and a chance and things that, in a lot of other countries, especially, they don't have. I mean, people take education for granted. If you want to get a reality check on education, I'm sure you can talk to, if your grandparents are still alive, what things looked like back during the Depression, right? My grandfather, for example, he had an 8th grade education. He's passed away in 2022, unfortunately, but he had an 8th grade education because after 8th grade, he had to go work on the farm, and he worked on the farm from 8th grade until he died. Now he was a very wise man. He was incredibly intelligent, and I take a lot of inspiration from him. But I mean, he was a huge proponent of the value of education, because not everyone like him was so lucky to where they had a stable life. I mean, there were a lot of people who they were never able to crawl out of the pit, or the farm failed one too many years, and they were just, SOL, and it just ruined them. And education is the great equalizer, and it's incredibly important that we have an educated society. We have a society that that knows not just the things like math, writing, arithmetic, which are important. I'm not saying we shouldn't be funding those services, of course.
Right.
But for schools as well, things that aren't often talked about is making friends, socializing, learning how to time manage, how to organize, things like that aren't explicitly taught in a classroom, but they're still things that you learn while you're in school. I certainly learned them. I know many friends of mine who learned them. Not to say that public schools are the only option or should be the only option, but I think that we shouldn't be using our taxpayer money to fund charter schools. We should be using them to fund public schools that anybody can go to, schools that the school board is elected. They can decide how school policy is run. And even in St. Charles County, we just completed the years-long process of kicking out all of the book-burning MAGA types who have their campaign ads with flamethrowers and books in the school board.
Oh, God.
We kicked them all out. The last municipal election, the last 3 it was, I think, got kicked out, and now our school boards are entirely staffed by people who care about the students and care about the schools. And I think that's the beginning of kind of a revitalization and funding for public schools, and I'm very excited to see it, and I'm very excited to be part of that charge.
All right, okay. Michael, thought we lost you, but go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So, do St. Charles County have charter schools?
Yes, we have charter schools.
Okay, so I just did not know that, because I live in St. Louis City, and I know in St. Louis County we just got our first charter school within the last 10 years, but I did not realize that there was charter schools in St. Charles County.
Oh, yeah.
My second question and my last question was, give me just a second. I got to think back at it.
Okay. So there was a question in the chat by St. Lou Ron. He or she wants to know, when is what are your thoughts on the budget?
On the budget?
Yes.
As it is right now, horrible. It's terrible. I mean, how do you take an $8 billion surplus and turn it into a $2 billion?
I can't believe it.
I couldn't either. Because I heard that and I'm like, that has to be false. They can't have.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and they did. It's the budget is terrible. I mean, and Kehoe especially is just a huge issue with that. I mean, the Republicans have been in charge for 2016, or just since 2016, basically, and the Democrats. The last person we had in Democratic office was, I believe, Nicole Galloway, although it could have been Claire McCaskill, was one of the two. But Nicole Galloway was the state auditor, and I mean, it's ever since Kehoe took power, especially, and ever since kind of 2024, 2022-ish, we've really just been going down the gutter, and we've been wasting so much of our money and just kind of ruining the budget of this state. And we're not even we're not even getting into a deficit for things that would benefit the people, like clean water, public transportation, better healthcare funding, things like that. That's more acceptable, in my opinion, to take on more cost and more revenue if you're providing a service that is good for the Missouri people. But we're doing it to give tax breaks to billionaire donors and to corporate interests and special interests. I mean, I don't want my tax dollars or the tax dollars of the people here to fund a tax break for somebody so he can buy his 5th house in Branson, right? Or you can ship the money in a Swiss bank account and have it leave the state. That's just not right. And we need to show the Missouri government need to show Mike Kehoe and the House Republicans that we're not going to put up with that anymore, and we're going to elect people that are going to use our tax dollars responsibly, and that's what I'm aiming to do.
Absolutely. Go ahead. You
Okay,
found
I
it?
figured it out, Sianca. Sorry, it took me a little minute.
You good.
So I know St. Louis City is not a part of your district. However, what I've noticed in St. Louis City is that with the takeover of our police department, there was a very small print that gave the Missouri legislator or governor the power to remove leaders who disagree with their opinion about the St. Louis police department. How would you protect voters or other leaders from language like that going into bills when you are elected?
I mean, the most obvious and straightforward way I can do that is to, fully read the bills myself and make sure that there's no clauses like that. Make sure there's no tricky language that they love to put in the bills, and then let people know, especially, like, obviously I would vote no on it, but let people know, especially on social media, that, hey, this is in this bill, this is why I'm not voting for it. Or this is in this bill, this is why I am voting for it. I think we have a huge issue with people in politics right now not really conveying that well, and too much kind of behind closed doors, smoke-filled rooms, opaque glass issues here. But this is a thing that's not just in St. Louis City, although St. Louis City is kind of the epicenter because it's a very blue city in a red state that, our government is being very retributive to the Democrats and to not even just the Democrats, but just people that aren't like them. We saw that with the redistricting over there in Kansas City, which obviously is in St. Louis, but it still affects us here because they redrew our districts too. They redrew District 2 and 3 in the middle of an election season, which was ridiculous. The best thing we can do for that is transparency. And that's something that I'm a huge proponent of. And there are some representatives in government that are doing a great job about that. They make videos, they tell people, hey, this is in this bill. But I think a lot of them kind of they kind of get lost in the legalese about it, which is no fault of their own necessarily. They're politicians. A lot of them are lawyers. This is the life that they. To them, it sounds easy, but to people like me or to people in my district that aren't lawyers and don't spend their free time sifting through legal documents and House bills, although I do that sometimes. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. It doesn't really make sense to them. And I think conveying these in an easy to understand layman's terms way is a huge matter of exposing this double dealing and this corruption and this sneakiness that they've been doing and continue to do. My opponent, a lot of her bills get shot down by judges because the judge deems that the Missouri state judge deems them as being too weaselly in their language and too unclear and vague and misleading. That's their strategy, which you'd think that wouldn't even be their strategy because they have a supermajority. What do they need to lie about? If their policies genuinely help the Missouri people, why are they doing all this? Why are they adding in these weird little clauses? Why are they lying on their bills? Why are they Amendment 3? Why are they making a new Amendment 3 that has reversed language to try to trick people who voted for the old Amendment 3? It's ridiculous, and it's because their policies don't actually help the people of Missouri. If they did, we'd see the state in a much better situation than we do now. So I would be a big proponent of requiring more clear language and bills are already, you can already see bills as they're being published. But I'd be a proponent of requiring more clear language in the Missouri government and in legislation.
Okay. Thank you. Sianca, you can drop me down now.
Thank you, Nookie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciated the questions. I really did.
Yeah. I think man, it's 7:30, so we have to end. We having a good conversation. I really enjoyed this town hall. I'm really enjoying knowing more about, is it Missouri or Missouri?
So that depends on where you are. If you're in the South in like the Ozarks area, they'll typically say Missouri. Over here where I am, we're in the more like kind of Midwestern leaning parts. We say Missouri.
Okay. I be getting that a lot from, we had candidates that come here from Missouri and they say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do like something fun right now. And I also want to get the chat involved. So the chat, I want you to put your answers in the chat or give me an emoji if you think that, Conoyer, Mr. Conoyer, I got it right. I got it. And Mr. Conoyer answer the questions correctly or not. All right, we're gonna make this fun. Okay.
Oh boy.
All right. So
I'm being graded.
are you ready? This is gonna be the rapid fire. All right.
All right. A second.
Okay.
Let's go.
Kansas City barbecue or St. Louis barbecue?
I gotta go St. Louis because I'm from St. Louis. I'm from the St. Louis area, so
Okay.
that's gonna make a lot of Kansas City people angry. And their barbecue's great, but I gotta go St. Louis.
What's the difference though, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm not going to get into that because that's going to cause arguments in the chat. We'll be here for 30 minutes. I can tell you one's better than the other. I'll tell you that. If you're ever in St. Louis, we have some great barbecues around here. I tell you, we have some phenomenal ones.
Okay, I have to go there one day. So Nookie has to have to take me.
And St. Charles, and you tell him to. And St. Charles has phenomenal barbecue as well.
Okay.
It's I wouldn't say it's a different type of barbecue from St. Louis, but it's definitely like it's kind of like its own little like flares to it. But we're getting some good ones here. We're getting some good barbecue places too. I'm not going to give any endorsements, obviously, because this is a political campaign. But I don't want to make it seem like I'm being paid for by big barbecue.
Right, I got you. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
It depends on the mood I'm in. Because yes. So I used to work at Pizza Hut back before the pandemic, right? And my go-to comfort food was a personal pan pizza, extra sauce, extra cheese, pepperoni, and pineapple. And I'm gonna get crucified by that. It's good. And it depends on the mood. Sometimes, if I were to get one right now, I'm not really in a pineapple mood. But I will stand by this. There is a time and a place for it.
I don't know where that time is, and I don't know where that place.
There will come a time in your life when you're sitting there and you'll have just a craving for something completely weird, and you'll have a pineapple pizza, and you'll be like, I think I see it now. At least try it once. I was a doubter too.
Oh, okay. Is cereal a soup?
Yes. And the reason I say that, have you heard of gazpacho? Gazpacho.
No, I don't think so.
Gazpacho is a Spanish tomato soup, right? It's a huge like culinary thing in Spain. It's served cold. And if gazpacho is a soup, then I'd say cereal could be classified as a type of soup. I'm getting roasted in the comments for this. I can already see it.
Yeah, St. Laurent says his policies are good, even though his taste in pizza is bad.
I appreciate it, St. Laurent. Well, then I'll tell you what. You vote for me, you don't have me cater your pizza for you. How about that?
Okay, toilet paper, over or under?
Oh, over.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, I wouldn't call it. I think that it can be made to be like a sandwich, like a Chicago dog, like a genuine Chicago dog. I think that's more like a sandwich. And I think but I would still call it its own thing.
Okay. Cereal.
I'm getting flamed in the comments for the cereal one, I tell you.
I'm
gonna be out doing an event or something. I'm gonna be pulled aside. It's like, are you the weirdo who said that cereal is a soup? And that's even my legacy. I'm calling it right now.
Okay, fries dipped in milkshake, yes or no?
That depends on the milkshake. Wendy's, yes. McDonald's, no. My favorite condiment for fries is either so if I go to McDonald's, it's the chili sauce.
Okay.
Right? Like the creamy chili sauce. But recently, and I had this in Europe, and I thought it was stupid, but I tried it, and it's wonderful, is thick cut fries in mayonnaise.
Bye. Bye. No. Mm-mm. No.
Or I'll do sriracha if I'm feeling a little spicy.
Moving on. So, pancakes or waffles?
Ooh, I'd say pancakes. I'm not a big waffle guy. I'm not a big waffle
Okay.
guy.
Ranch on everything, acceptable or not?
On everything, no, but I'll put ranch on some things. I'll put ranch on some things. Like I whenever I was younger, I used to dip pizza in ranch, which is a very controversial thing. I don't do that as much anymore, but I think ranch is a good condiment. I think it can be put on a lot of things. It has to be good ranch though. You can't have just the mass produced stuff there. But I wouldn't put it on everything, but I'd put it on a lot more things you probably think.
Can you fight one horse or 100 ducks?
I feel like do I get prep time?
No.
Okay, like if I was dropped in,
Yeah.
I feel like the horse. I feel like the horse, because the ducks are going to overwhelm you. They'll like slaughter you. But like the horse, I feel like with the horse, because the horse's weakness is its legs, because they have little tiny legs, and if the horse breaks its legs, it can't recover. That's why they have to. It's why racehorses they retire if they break a leg.
Yeah.
But so like if the horse.
Not that we condone that now. Not we don't condone that.
Yeah, we don't condone that, but that was an unfortunate practice that happened.
St. Louis says, does he get cans of cereal to use as a weapon?
I'm chucking cans of cereal at the horse. I mean, I wear glasses. I don't have the best aim, so I feel like I'd have to get a few cans of cereal there. I feel like if I could just trip it, right? Because like a horse doesn't have like sharp teeth either. Like a duck, I guess, doesn't have sharp teeth either. But there's a lot of them. They have like little talons, don't they? No, they have webbed feet.
Oh my God. Okay, so aliens real? Yes or no?
What was that? Sorry.
Are aliens real? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say no. Actually, I'm a big believer in the Fermi paradox. Which is if aliens are real and they're everywhere, why haven't we seen them yet? I think that I just don't. I used to be a believer. I'm just not. I just don't think so. I could be proven wrong. I'm sure if I talked to an astrophysicist, he'd tell me why I'm stupid or why aliens are likely to be real, and he could convince me. But I feel like we would have maybe seen something by now, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But.
All right, last question: time travel or teleportation?
Oh, teleportation. I have a history degree. I ain't time traveling. I can tell you that, right? Because I guess it depends. Because if you could control it, then what's the one thing everyone wants to do? They want to go back to 2011 and buy a million Bitcoin. But I feel like with teleportation, I feel like that's just more practically useful because, what I'd be worried about is you go back in 2011 and buy a million Bitcoin and then come back to the future and you find out that because you did that, some war started 5 years in the future and now the world ends or something like that. You know how it always. I'm sure or I'd make enemies of the Terminator.
You do the ripple effect and it affects the future.
Yeah. Come back and unalive me.
No. No. Oh my gosh, but it's been fun. You semi-passed the test. You had some questionable things happening. So how can people reach you, Mr. Conoyer?
Sure, absolutely. So I post every single day on TikTok, every day that I can. You can find that on Conoyerformo, M-O, so CONOYERFORMO. I post every day on TikTok. I'm sure it's linked, I think, somewhere. You probably click on my thing, Dale Conoyer from Missouri, right there. My TikTok profile, my Instagram is also Conoyerformo. You can follow me on Facebook. I post a lot of updates there. It's just Dale Conoyer. You can add me as a friend on Facebook. I love having a bunch of friends on Facebook. I recently started a YouTube channel, which is called Conoyer from Missouri. I post my videos there as well. But if you want to donate to the campaign, which is always appreciated, you can go to daleconoyer.com, DaleConoyer.com. It's DaleConoyer.com. You can donate there. Every amount of money helps out with the campaign. It helps us print literature. It helps us hire great people. It helps us outreach people. And that's how we win here, because we're not going to be able to outraise my opponent. And I'll admit that, but the money still helps, and we can use it much more efficiently than she's been using it. So we're very excited. But that's the best way to reach out. I post a lot of things with the campaign. I post policy discussions. I ask people questions on TikTok, and I answer them. None that have been about food, so a lot of my supporters are probably blindsided now from hearing my controversial food takes. But hopefully that won't cost me too many voters in the polls.
I think they have mercy on you. I think they'll have mercy on you.
I hope that they can look past my pizza habits. Just don't come to the Capitol on lunchtime, and I think we can get along. I'll be out there putting ranch on like fries and chicken tenders and all that. So, but no, it's great. So thank you so much for having me, Sianca. Thank you so much to the Our Vote Counts crew, and thank you to everyone that showed up and listened to me talk about the campaign and ask me questions. I saw a few people in the chat from my community, so I really appreciate that. And
absolutely. But don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere right now, because we have another town hall tonight. We have one that's coming up, who is also from Missouri.
Oh,
the person name is Dustin Lloyd. And this person is running in District 39.
Oh.
That's coming up at 9:00 tonight. So I don't know if you heard of Dustin Lloyd, but he is running for Missouri State House Representative in District 39 at 9:00 Eastern Time. So if you have nothing to do at that time, come and join us, hang out. Lovely Ayana is going to be moderating, so you will not be able to see my ugly face on here. So you'll be seeing a beautiful face that come up and do.
A beautiful face, Sianca. You look phenomenal. You look great.
Thank you. I try. I do have one other question for you. So this is at 9:00. When you get in office, okay, Beth, let me back up. So do you know there are voters out there that may sit out?
Yes.
Okay. What message can you give them right now if you are talking to the people that's like, I'm gonna sit this one out? So what would you tell them?
I would tell them that this is not just a race about Democrat versus Republican, but it's a race about accountability. My opponent has had no accountability. She's blocked people. She's snubbed people. She snubbed her own constituents, and she is 100% convinced that she'll never have to answer for the bills that she's signed and sponsored and the votes that she's made that have severely damaged this state and taken money and hope away from the little guy and given it to the big corporations and the big donors. So my appeal to the voter, to the undecided voter, is I will never snub my constituents. I want to be held accountable. I believe in a future. I believe in a politician where anybody can come up to the Capitol, find their way into my office, pound their fist on my desk and say, Representative Conoyer, I don't like the way you voted on that bill. I don't like the way you're running this country. And I'd love to talk to him. I'm unique in my regard in the sense that I don't push away Trump supporters or conservatives. I may not agree with them. I often don't agree with them. But I'll still talk to them. I believe that they're constituents just as anybody else is. And I think that what they're looking for and what a lot of people are looking for, and I've been proven right by this, is someone who will listen to them and talk to them and be more visible. And when I'm elected, I'm hoping to be more visible. I'll be hosting town halls. My opponent doesn't do that. I'll be attending events. My opponent doesn't do that. I'll be outreaching specifically to my constituents and meeting them where they are. My opponent doesn't do that. So if you want a candidate and you want a representative that will represent you and be involved in the community and will listen to you and come out, that's who I am. It's not who my opponent is, and she's had 6 years to prove us wrong, and she hasn't. Let's fix Missouri.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that, because we hear I don't want to say cliche of things, but we I have to ask that question for the people who are sitting out, because you see what had happened, the results of people who did not vote. And we feel that it's very important to go out there and voice. I don't care how you vote, just go out there and use your voice. But vote on the right side of life. Vote for policy. Vote for policy is going to be benefit not only just you, but your family and other people. Okay, and your state as well. I think that's very, very, very important. We also have other things happening. A round table. I don't know if we have any future dates for round tables, but when we do, I think that you'll be great at one of the round tables to have discussions with people. I feel that having a community discussion, not yelling, not debating, but having a conversation to get to the next point. Like we've been stalling this point for too long. We need to get somewhere for the betterment, not just for us, but for our kids, for our future. And our kids are our future. We also have job openings for OVC. So, Mr. Conoyer, you already have a job. So these are for people who wants to be a moderator like me and others on OVC. Our vote counts. If you want to moderate like me, go ahead and DM OVC if you're interested. Okay. Become a mod. A mod is like what I'm doing, and there are mods in the chat who regulate the chat, make sure it's nice and warm and comfy for everybody. We also have like the graphics team. You love to do graphics like over here. We also have a whole lot of stuff, scheduling, all that great stuff. So if you're interested, please DM us, okay? Don't be shy. We will train you. We will not throw you in to the wolves. We won't do that. We'll make sure you're up to snuff. If you want to host, like our vote counts here, that's another option as well. Other than that, am I missing anything, OVC? I think I got everything. Okay, Michelle. Okay, Michelle is another representative who is running in Georgia. He's a representative. Welcome in. And then our vote count. So you'll see the same video that we're doing, Mr. Conoyer, on YouTube. We do have a channel. So if you want to look at the town hall yourself again, because this was an amazing town hall to me personally. And I think OVC think the same. I think everybody else think the same too. So we're also on YouTube. We on Threads. We on Facebook. We on Instagram, or as my kids would say, the gram. And we're also on TikTok. So go ahead and follow us, and you keep up to date on what's going on in the neck of the woods of OVC. Other than that, we appreciate you, Mr. Conoyer. I got the name. I can say it now. I can say it.
You got it.
I'm so proud of myself right now. So thank you for joining us tonight. Any final words? Like, what's your message to voters as we have, as we head to the election? And you said in August, the first Tuesday in August is the primary. So what's your message to the people?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's been a great time. It was a phenomenal town hall. We had some great people here, some great questions, especially from STL, Ron, and from Nookie. Now, my final message is, I'm a first-time candidate. This is a first-time campaign, and I'm not a career politician. I'm someone in Missouri that's been fed up with how the Missouri government has snubbed us, how our representatives have had nobody to ever challenge them, and how they vote against our will and vote against our voice as a state and as the people of a state. And I'm running to change all that, and I'd hope you join me. And I'm not in this for political power, because if I was just in this for political power, it'd be very easy to switch my party affiliation to Republican and, say the same few talking points and run in a safe district and get into the Missouri State House like a few other candidates I'm not going to mention have done before and still are and serving in the Missouri State House. It's sad, but I'm looking to change that, and I'd like to have as many of you possible on my side to do so. I'm in this to make a better Missouri, and if that comes with me being elected, then that's great. I am willing to make a Missouri that is great even without me being elected. I'm in this to make a movement, and that's what I'm aiming for. And it's been great. It's been wonderful. So many incredible people have been supportive of me and inspired by me, and they've been enthused by me and willing to come out and donate and volunteer and support, and it's a very humbling experience. But I'm looking to restore a government of Missouri where the people feel like the representative is working for them and not snubbing them, and they feel like they're living in a representative district and not a fiefdom. So that's my goal. That's what I'm aiming for. And a lot of people in this district, a surprising amount, and way more people than you probably think, even in a perceived red district, agree with me. Let's fix Missouri.
Let's fix Missouri. Thank you so much, Mr. Conoyer. I'm gonna keep saying this the whole night. Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Mr. Conoyer here, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and actions, we're building a stronger democracy, people. That's what we're doing. One informed vote at a time. Continue to join us tonight at 9 o'clock. Don't forget. And this week, okay? So remember, your vote is your power. Have a good night. God bless and take care. Be safe and love one another.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. God bless you. Have a good night.